Hey, Mr. Adam Mockler, let me explain you something about Germany. You know, we know all Germany is a member of the NATO. But Germany got a government, a parliament, and it got different kind of minister, on a high level. The Minister of Defense, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Foreign Relations, all this stuff. And when you noticed something is ongoing with you at the present time, it means the minister who is responsible for those things which are ongoing, and if those things which were ongoing in present time also were ongoing in your personally past, it means that the minister of the past, since then, when the disturbing of your life, of your body, of your brain cells activity get manipulated by manned employed people who sitting day and night behind their computer and actually kidnapping the entire body, wireless, invisible, untraceable, and then those employed people who are actually working for the minister in present time as well as in the past. Tell me, Mr. Mockler, what kind of people could that be? Huh? Yes, we in Germany, we had this ample, this street light coalition. Remember Green Party, the Liberals, and the Social Democratic Party. And one of the ministers, that time Miss Lambrecht, were defense minister. One of those employed Nazi rights asked me to move in Ukraine. Can you imagine that? He asked me by talking through his Nazi headset microphone inside my listening cells, where it's connected, And when I go back in my past, in my experience, back in the year of 1996, that time was a Christian defense minister, a Christian Nazi right, foltern. And you know what happened there? Precisely the same Nazi rights who is actually terrorizing and torturing me by sending pictures and movies inside my visible cells. Not on my pupils, inside the visible cells. Those dirty Nazis, they're using blind chip technology. Yes? Not for medical research or something. To spy inside the life. you know. And in 1996, you know what this wicked coward Nazi did? He had at that time already access to my hearing cells, to my listening cells, which he also programmed. As when you have conversation, since 87, they listen to your conversation, to each one you meet. They follow you. They are connected to your brain cells. You know, they're tracking every second of your life, being connected to your programmed brain cells. And in 1996, when he was already talking inside the listening cells, that Computernazzi of Foltern, you know, he sent ugly chemical poison. Yes, it was smelling like poison inside the smelling cells. And then he talked inside his head, in his headset microphone, which is connected to my listening cells. And at the same time, when he stimulated that ugly poison in the smelling cells, he said, if you smell that, run as quick as possible away from here. That was 1996. That dirty Nazis is still behind the computer and terrorize inside the listening cells. It's precisely the same Nazi rat who waterboarded me inside the dreaming cells. Yes, since the Defense Minister Manfred Werner, they sent programmed videos inside the dreaming cells. And that time, when they started sending that video, they were already spying inside the thinking cells. And when you are a victim of such a long time, and you start losing things, like passwords of your Google account or something, things like that, you have to write it down. They spy, they know, you know. Yes, blind chip technology is what these Nazi rats are using. Can you imagine that? In 1997, I was visiting a musician family. They come actually from Skopje, you know, a music artist family. And I was visiting them at their home place, which was in Rotterdam. You know, those Nazis, they win images, pictures, out of the seeing cells, out of the visible cells. And then they're taping them like a video, you know. And then they are able to cut the date material which they won out of the visible cells. They're cutting, they're programming new movies out of it. And in 1997 was the first time they sent a movie inside my seeing cells. The entire natural viewing were gone. Only that fucking Nazi movie were running inside my head. And I also react because I saw a red balloon. That was a balloon I noticed, I saw before, was lying on the ground on the left side at the corner. On the left side, on the ground, that time I was sitting there in that living room. and in front of me was a big window, about 3 meters or something. On the right side was a balcony door. And when they start stimulating that movie inside my seeing cells, I saw that red balloon, which were lying on the ground, were lifting up, moving across the window, and went direction balcony door. So I actually moved my body, I stand up, I went to the window, to the balcony door, and tried to catch the balloon. I didn't want that the balloon is going out of the street through the balcony door, And when I reached the balcony door, I noticed something strange in here. Something strange. Because when I follow that balloon, I fell down. The balcony door. The balcony down on the street or something. So I stopped. And then I went back to the place where I was sitting before. And then I noticed that fucking red was a heart-formed balloon. We're still at the same place. It didn't move. There was not enough oxygen or gas inside. It couldn't move. But in that movie, where they win this material from, out of the visible cells, yes, they saw this red balloon, yes, and they produce a new movies and stimulate that movie inside the visible cells. Those dirty Nazis, they're still working for the same minister, and they don't care if you're losing things out of your memory. The attempt is to kill you. Yes, they get paid, and it's their own will. Because let me tell you something, for all these war crimes, those dirty Computernazis rats did, like waterboarding me inside the dreaming cells, also uses virtual reality quality, Yes, when you're sleeping and they send that virtual reality movie inside your dreaming cells, you are active, yes? They stimulate you active, and then you find yourself sitting on a surfboard, but up in the sky, You're sitting on, you don't have any kind of parapluie or something to protect you from coming down, and they always show you the ground. And you're coming down, the ground is coming closer and closer and closer and closer, and you don't have any kind to protect your body from smashing down on the ground. Things like that. And waterboarding, yes. When they start this Nazi movie, the soldier movie, Nazi soldier movie, is it working together? The American CIA and the German Secret Service doing things like that with the American CIA MK Ultra software programs, Yes, and you start diving. You see yourself in the swimming pool when this Nazi movie starts. You are diving, and on the ground of the swimming pool, you see it's a small swimming pool, like for people you want to go swimming. Okay, you have a place where you go swimming and diving, and a small pool, 4 meter deep or 5 meter deep, and I was diving in that pool, yes, and then I saw a fish, a virgin fish, a woman with a towel like a fish, and I was watching at her. I never saw things like that, and I'm watching. I observed that fish, and then I noticed, for me, personally, it's time to get up, to get some fresh air. Huh? And I was diving up to get on the air. But I never reached the air. You know? I never reached the water level. No. But then I wake up. And you know how my breathing were? I never had such kind of disturbed breathing when I wake up. You know, the water boiled inside the dreaming cells, those military coward Nazis from Germany. And in 1993, in 1991, one thing happened. Yes, I was working full-time job as a repairing mechanic, you know, and about 10:30 in the morning, I recognized myself getting tired, you know, in 1991. And it took between 10 and 15 minutes. I was at my working place in deep sleep. You know what happened then? Again, those Nazi rats sent a movie inside my dreaming cells at my working place in the morning, yes, before I had lunch. Can you imagine that? That was a baby which were actually get sticked with a pillow inside the baby bed. And then I wake up, I notice I'm still on my working place. What's going on? Huh? And I start crying because I just saw how two hands actually were grabbing a pillow and stick the baby inside the bed. I start crying. And the thing, which is for me the most important thing, you know, I forgot that. I didn't recognize that at the moment, you know. It took some days. I was only thinking about that fucking movie they placed inside my dreaming cells. That stick baby, you know. And every time, when I, also weeks later, when I think about that, when I thought about that again, I start crying again. And because I was so emotional, sad, you know, I forgot the most important thing. That there exists a fucking computer Nazi rat who is able to stimulate me into deep sleep. So I never tolerate except I went to the police, asked the prosecutor for help. But you know, we, as programmed slaves, living in a concentration camp by the Nazis, this is how you feel. And I don't give a damn. These Christian Nazi politicians and those social democratic Nazi politicians, they are allowed to do so, you know. And if police doesn't investigate, if a prosecutor doesn't investigate against those military gain weapon Nazi rats, changing the genetic of your body, also using fucking software programs which they own and can use as member of the holy pussy NATO, Yes. So, in reality, it means when you start losing things out of your memory out of your memory cells, means doing computer murdering of your person as your victim. And when those hypocrites ask you to go in Ukraine Look all the past. Look all the past. You know how often I wrote to the police? I complained to the prosecutor. They always close everything. Huh? Yes. In 1996, they also organized that it's able to discriminate the victims of mental slavery, of electronic torture inside your body. I try to put you in mental hospital and say things like that. Science fiction, perhaps in 20 years, people are able to do so or something. Why does it stimulate you into coma? You know? In 1991, that fucking Nazi, he stimulated me into deep sleep, to force me to see a movie they programmed, to spy inside the thinking cells. What does a victim think about that movie? Let him think, you know? You are not your own anymore. There's a Nazi who control your behavior, and your is manipulating you. You know what you're doing. You go to the police, but they ignore the police. They ignore that you ask the prosecutor for help, to get those Nazis into jail, And, you know, he's such ugly military expert, you know. In 1996, there was another war crime he did, and she did it twice at the same day. One was a schoolboy in the age of 14 years. And when he did that war crime, it moves, of course against my will, my both bones, my knees were smashing on my chest, both at the same time. I was screaming. Such ugly pain he created, that dirty Nazi. You can't imagine what kind of pain. You never heard yourself screaming like that. Never in your entire life. You know. But no one in my neighborhood can hear me screaming. You know. At the same time, when he stretched the bones, the legs, the knees on my chest, I was laying down in my bed, was reading something, and then he stretched the knees, both at the same time, smashed on my chest. I was screaming, but he executed another software program, which were actually developed by the holy NATO pussy, wasn't it? He paralyzed my voice muscles at the same time as no one can hear me scream. But about 10 seconds or 15 seconds, I still was traumatized and shocked on my bed. About 15 seconds later, or 20 seconds later, I hear a boy, I recognize his voice because I know him, yes, in my neighborhood. And he was screaming precisely like I did. You know, his screaming voice, you can hear 1 mile away. And I was living about 50 meters away from his flat. And then, a few minutes later, I still were lying on my bed, traumatized, and I hear police cars arriving at that place. They didn't come at my place. No, they come to the place of that schoolboy. Yes. He himself is born 14 years old. Himself is born in Germany. He got a sister is a few years younger than him, and his father is actually from Turkey, and his mother is also from Turkey, but they live since 40 years in Germany. You know, they were my neighbors at that time, and I know precisely what were ongoing on my body. Perhaps that Nazi also picked up his programmed body and did the same thing on his body. Stretch the knees to his chest. And he was screaming. They didn't paralyze his voice muscles. But each one in our neighborhood can hear the screaming. And there was about 4 police cars around his place when it happened. I don't know what kind of investigation they did. Perhaps the same. They are mental sick or something. You want to become an artist or something. You know? I don't know. But one thing for sure, I know his name. Yeah? I know his full name. Because we went together in 1993 to Turkey. You know, I was driving a car from Germany down to Turkey, down to Adana. And then I stay 5 months in Turkey, travel around. Yes. And also 1993, those fucking Nazis, they torture. 1993, first time I hear somebody inside my hearing cells, inside my listening cells, try to give me an advice or something, was only a few words. You know what he was saying? An American man in Adana. You know what he said? Close that door. I actually were living in a room where a door was standing open, going out to the garden, you know, but I felt comfortable. I didn't care about the door, but that fucking voice inside my head was talking and say to me, give the order or something, or giving instruction, or giving a tip what to do, how to behave in Turkey. Close the door. Yes. You know how I react when I hear this voice, his words, close the door? I say, sorry, I don't take any kind of military order. Because, you know, what was ongoing since 87, 88, 89, 91, 90, 91, 92, 93, that happened in Adana, you know, so that was my reaction. I said, sorry, I don't take any kind of military order. Later on I was sleeping, I didn't close the door, and 2 days later, those German Nazis, again they torture me inside the dreaming cells. Again, a virtual reality movie. And you know, I felt sad, almost like crying when that movie started. I was sitting on the ground, I don't know, matratze, sitting on the ground in front of me. I saw a gun, a revolver. And like I want to do this, I grabbed the revolver, pointed at my chest, and shot me twice in my chest. Then I wake up. You know, I still was on the same place, in the bed where I was sleeping, at a friend's home, where that soldier said, close the door. At the same place I was at time, you know, and you see yourself sad. At the time I wasn't sad, I was happy, you know, traveling around. See places in Turkey. I also want to cross the Turkey border into Syria, get some impression from there, you know, but doing things like that, you know. Then I see a gun on the ground, pick up the gun and shoot twice in my chest. So those Nazis got a movie with me where I commit suicide. Yes. This is how the German military secret service Nazis are working together with their American friends. Perhaps also in the same computer system, perhaps in the same computer machine. Where could that be? In Belgium? In Ramstein? Or in Munich? Bavaria? In Pullach? In Bad Aibig? Who knows? But they exist, those dirty computer Nazis from Germany. And that Nazi who still terrorized inside my hearing cells, he's a dirty Nazi who did all that. You know what he's doing now? He terrorized me on sexual things, talking about teenies. He knows precisely I wanna fuck teenies, is what he said. And he is a fucking video cutter, who then own pornographic movies out of my visible cells. You know, the German Christian Nazis, the German Christian Nazi politicians never talk about things like that. The military and secret service secrets.